Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Kamarulini from Zaman.
My name is Muhammad Ibrahim from Manizab. Today we would like to demonstrate about how to make a welding machine. Before starting any welding work, we have to set up the equipment such as helmet, glove, welding hammer, electrode holder, wire brush and welding machine. Also, we have to wear the safety boot. Now, plug in the welding machine to the power source. Switch on the main power. Set the ampere on the welding machine. Then, insert the welding electrode into the electrode holder. The first thing first is wear the glove, and the second thing is wear the helmet for safety. Next, let's set up the welding machine to start the work. Now I will show you how to start the welding. Once the welding is complete, I use a chipping hammer and wire brush to clean the slag from the weld. Let the welded joint cool down in the water. Turn off the machine and unplug it from the power source. Store the cable, electrode holder and tools properly. That's how you safely set up and use a welding machine. Always remember, safety first and double check all connections before starting your work. If you don't understand with our video, the other video will share you how to use a welding machine for beginner, and you will learn from this video.
Hi, I'm Steve Christina from Arc Academy. Arc Academy is a small beginner and entry-level welding school here in Chicago, Illinois. And what we do is we teach beginners how to weld, but everybody that comes through our door usually doesn't have any idea what welding actually is, which is the liquefaction of a base metal with heat and then they fuse together. And there's three most common systems that do this: MIG, stick, and TIG. And what we're gonna do before we jump in is have a review of all three of these processes. Before we get started, let's talk about the common characteristics of each process, okay? So in welding, you have three basic elements. You have your heat source, your filler metal, and then your shielding gas or your flux. So let's talk about MIG welding. MIG welding, the filler metal is your electrode and it's on a spool of wire. And it is also a shielding gas process. So the advantages to this is it's going to be much easier to learn because you preset all of your parameters. It's going to be much cleaner because you don't have any kind of slag process, and you could hit a wide variety of metal thicknesses. So if you're in a garage, in your shop, that is a great process to use. Stick welding, because it is a flux-based process, works awesome outside. Wind doesn't affect it as much, and it can also work on thicker metals really well. Another advantage of it is if your metal is dirty, if you're working on farm equipment or on a gate or even in your driveway, rust and debris don't affect it as much as the other processes. A few of the disadvantages of stick welding is you're going to have a lot of spatter, a lot of vapor, off-gassing, and fumes, so it's not something you want to do indoors too much. Another thing is, if you're working on automotive frame mounts, it's not the prettiest or cleanest weld. Usually when you're working on some sort of frame, you're either going to pick MIG or TIG. So some of the advantages of TIG welding is you're going to get the highest quality weld. It's also going to be aesthetically more pleasing. It's a pretty bead. And it also works great on thinner metals. But the only problem is it's very difficult to control because you're controlling all three of your elements in process. Your leg is controlling your heat, your opposite hand is typically controlling your filler metal deposition rate, and then of course you have a non-consumable tungsten electrode that is creating your arc as you move through the bead. This is considerably slower process as well, so usually when you're working on TIG welding, you're going to be working on stuff like a frame for a motorcycle, automotive, sheet metal, something in that regard. We've highlighted the advantages of each welding process. Now we got to talk about what you're going to do. All of my students that come up to me that they're about to buy a welder, they ask me, which one should I get? Well, it really depends on what you're going to be doing most. If you are outdoors working on farm equipment, you're typically going to go with a stick welder, thick metal welding, dirtier material. If you're working on thin metals, HVAC, if you're doing frame outs, go with a TIG welding process. If you want a wider range and you're going to be working indoors, MIG welding is probably what you're going to want. Now let's get a little bit more specific about what metals you can use for each process. MIG will typically have the ability to weld steel, stainless steel, and aluminum alloys. Stick has the ability to weld on steel, stainless steel, and cast iron. Whereas TIG pretty much runs the gamut. You can weld on any metals that conduct electricity: steel, stainless steel, aluminum, copper, brass, chromoly, and exotic metals such as magnesium and titanium. We hope you enjoyed this video and you got a lot out of it. We highly encourage you to move on and watch the rest of the videos in this series. We break down purchasing a welder based on your needs. If you're looking for more educational videos, go to arcacademy.com. We have an entire library of learning tutorial videos where you can grow your knowledge of welding.
That's all from us.
Thank you.